Hey guys, did you know that I have a Patreon where you can support me and plus get awesome rewards? Or if you're thinking to yourself, but Julian, I want even more bang for my buck while still supporting you, you can pop over to my Redbubble and check out my awesome store with new designs appearing regularly. But for now, enjoy the video you're about to watch.
Hey everybody, it's me, Julian Greystoke. Today I am wearing this awesome dark crystal shirt that I got for Christmas. Now I know you guys have some questions. The first one being, Julian, why are you still filming at night? It's when I have time, okay? I want to spend my daylight hours with my horse, so sue me. And the second question I'm sure you have for me is, Julian, you sack of shit, you just did a bunch of reviews where you shat all over books. Isn't there anything that you like? The answer is very occasionally yes. That book is Nevernight. Nevernight is the story of a young girl who becomes an assassin. She goes to a special assassin school. It's set in this fantasy world and it's super dark and there's a lot of death. And seriously, why didn't I read this book before now? Because it ticks so many of my boxes. It's got followers of a death god, it's got female assassins that actually kill people, it's got an ensemble cast of reasonably fleshed out characters. Yes. This first book basically follows our heroine as she just tries to get through her year of school at this assassin school, because at assassin school, if you fuck up, you die. This is like Hogwarts, if they were honest about the student death count. I kind of took notes as I read or listened in my case, so hopefully these will be in some semblance of order. The writing itself is pretty good, and we started out with a juxtaposition of killing and sex, which was interesting, but it went on a little bit too long for me. Word usage was really cool, but then it just kept going. I mean, this definitely was one of the themes in this book, how sex and violence are kind of linked. So our main character has been living with a man who has been giving her the basics in her assassin training, but he has decided that she is ready to move on to the higher education assassin school, assassin college, if you will. And so he sends her off into the desert to find this school, and to get there, she steals a horse. Fine, whatever, she's a thief, she's an assassin. However, the horse that she chooses, after she establishes that she doesn't really know how to ride very well and she doesn't like horses, she chooses a 20 hands tall stallion. If you want to know all of the things wrong with this, please go watch my video about what fiction gets wrong about horses. But just know that one of the tallest horses in the world right now is 20 hands tall. That is ridiculously tall for a horse. And she's riding across the desert sand. And the size that this horse would have to be, he would be possibly the worst horse ever for riding through a desert. There is a reason that desert horses, like the Arabian breed, are small and light. That's hopefully mostly my horse rant over with. I'm not sure in this book, it kind of has world building via footnotes, and in the recorded book version you can't really ignore them, they're all read to you, and I didn't really like it personally. I prefer the world building to be woven into the story, and later on the world building as footnotes kind of went away, but early in the book, it was extremely heavy, and I didn't really like it. There are also a lot of sort of descriptions early in this book. Again, they tone down later. It's almost like the author realized that some of these things were kind of annoying, and he had to back off of them later in the book. But things like, she drop-kicked her temper. She dragged her drowsiness into a corner and slapped it into wakefulness, or something like that. Something like that would happen and it would be weird. This book really struck me as a Tamara Pierce book, but with more sex. And I think if you like Pierce, you will probably like this too. Now, I really am not a huge fan of sex scenes in books. They're easier to skip if you're reading the book versus listening to it on audio. These sex scenes just kind of went on, and I'm like, I'm here to watch assassins learn how to kill people in cool assassin classes. Why am I reading erotica all of a sudden? I don't know, I never understood that. Maybe that's something that I never will understand in adult books. You're going along with a perfectly fine book and all of a sudden, descriptive sex scene. I don't need it. Pass. thought Mia, the main character of this book, was an okay character. She had a little bit of sort of main characteritis where she's not as interesting as the side characters, to be honest, but she was alright. And I found that I was a lot more interested in her story once she actually got to the school. So once we get to the school, it's pretty great. It was very brutal. People died. And it's not like Hogwarts or somewhere where the teachers are like, people died! No, the teachers are like, it's assassin school. Now, supposedly you would get in trouble if you assassinated a classmate, but you have to not get caught. That's what makes you a good assassin. And the teachers are kind of like, if you don't get caught... There are all of these assassin tests that the characters have to go through. There's also like thievery and stuff like that, these side things to being an assassin, which I also quite enjoyed. Some of the teachers are very nice, some of the teachers are incredibly brutal. The headmistress is pretty fun. I thought of her as like Murder Dumbledore. One of the teachers whom I really liked, I don't think you're supposed to like him, but he's a teacher of like the sparring class, the battle class where you actually learn how to fight. And at one point, our main character decides to show off. She's not quite human for some reason. Hopefully we'll find that out in future books why that is. She has these powers over shadows, and she's followed around by this cat made of shadows. With these control over shadows, she can do things like hold somebody in place with their shadow and stuff like that. And she, being all cocky or whatever, decides to show that off in fighting class against their teacher. And in most books, the teacher would be all impressed and be like, yes, I see that you are the special. And in this one, the teacher was pissed, and he chopped off her arm. I like it. I like this guy. Of course it was put back on. We live in a magical world, whatever. The only thing that struck me as odd is that the main character is like, I got my arm chopped off. That's fine. I'll keep doing this. Like, she doesn't even have really a moment of doubting whether she wants to be at this school or not after she gets her arm hacked off. I would have at least thought about it for a few minutes and been like, do I really want to keep going here? How many more limbs am I going to have to lose? Of course there's romance in this book. I just mentioned the sex scenes. I only friendship our main character and her love interest. And let me also just say that this love interest is a first book love interest. You know what that means. I know what that means. Although it did make me wonder, is there birth control in this fantasy world? Is it ever brought up? I don't remember. Now, like I mentioned, characters do get killed off because this is a murder school and people are gonna die. The only disappointing thing is that characters that we got to know, named characters, didn't really start dying until the last bit of the book. It was like, oh no, the red shirt died. The Shadow Cat is really cool and an interesting character, and possibly my favorite character in the entire book. His name is Mr. Kindly, and he's pretty awesome. There is some great girl friendship in this book, which I loved. There is also a stereotypical mean girl, which I could have done without, but I did really enjoy the banter in this book. I love me some banter when it's done well and when it's not overdone, and there was definitely banter in here, but it was always kept fairly brief. And finally, I did like the ending. I was really worried where they were going to leave it, if they were going to leave it on a giant cliffhanger, teasing us to go read the next book, and they didn't. They still left us with a lot to look forward to in the next book while still wrapping up this one. And I was like, yes! Fucking yes! Thank you! So yeah, overall I really enjoyed Nevernight. What do you guys think? Have you read Nevernight? Did you enjoy it? Are there any other awesome books I should read about female assassins and followers of death gods? Don't forget, everybody, that I post new videos here Mondays and Fridays, and all the links to my social media are in the doobly-doo, so go check those out. There is another series that I finished up somewhat recently, the His Fair Assassin series. I will link you below to my review of the first book in that series if you're interested in that. And I will see you guys next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye! Kinshu is my murder cat buddy. She helps me kill. Mostly she kills. She's a lot more angry and scary than me.
What's up, everybody? It is shout out time. Time to shout out to my very first patron, Kim. And if you want to be cool like Kim, become a patron over on Patreon.